Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about long run costs. In the last video, we talked about short run costs, and this was when at least one of those inputs were fixed. But now we want to look at what happens in the long run when all of our costs can be variable. So the first question we ask is, what other decisions can a firm make in the long run? Now, keep in mind, scale is going to be the size of our production process, and an efficient scale is when the level of output in which our ATC or average total cost is going to be minimized. So, in the short run, we know firms can hire more workers, but our amount of capital was fixed. We knew that McDonald's could hire more workers and stay open longer hours, but the size of the restaurant itself and the number of fryers were fixed and things that we couldn't change. But in the long run, this firm can adjust their capital and labor. McDonald's can increase the size of the restaurant, they can add more drive-through lanes, they have a lot more options. Now, it's really important to keep in mind that the reasons why long run costs change are not the same as the reasons why short run costs change, because short run costs reflect marginal product of labor, while long run costs are going to reflect the economies of scale. So there are three types of scale. We have economies of scale, which is when our average total cost falls as production expands. We have diseconomies of scale when our average total cost rises when production expands. And then we have our constant returns to scale, which means that average total cost doesn't change when production expands. Now, it's not really necessarily explained this way in your text, but whenever we talk about economies of scale or increasing returns to scale, this is like saying that if a firm doubles the amount of all inputs, output increases by more than double. So because of that, in the long run, our average total cost will fall. Increased specialization, lower input costs because we can buy in bulk, use some more efficient machinery, etc. All of these things are going to cause our returns to increase. When we see diseconomies of scale, that means decreasing returns to scale. If a firm doubles the amount of all inputs, outputs will increase by less than double. And because of that, long run ATC would rise. And that could be maybe because of coordination problems that are going to increase as our overall size of our firm increases as well. Now, when we talk about constant returns to scale, if a firm doubles the amount of all input, output will double. And because of that, long run ATC would also be constant. So these are kind of hard concepts to think about just kind of in a vague sense, but we are going to look at a graph before we wrap up this video. So here we have cost in the long run, and we have our average total cost on the y-axis, and we have output on the x-axis. And we can see here that the long run average total cost curve is a composite of all of the short run average total cost curves. So when you see SRATC, that short run average total cost, these are happening over a period of time. And then our long run costs are going to be kind of an aggregate or a total average of all of these curves. So they give you a few examples here. With a hospital, they have diseconomies of scale because in this case, maybe the firm is very large, it's very hard for them to keep up. So even though they're increasing these different outputs or inputs, it's not really giving that return. With this restaurant, we have a constant returns to scale, and that's because with this firm doubling all of their inputs, output is doubling and it just stays constant. It doesn't really change. And then economies of scale, they give an example of a home because in the long run, that value of the home is going to more than double regardless of changes that have been made. So kind of interesting to see, but think of diseconomies as we can't keep up. Constant just means that it stays about the same pretty consistently. And then economies of scale, more than doubling is happening. We're getting more out than what we put in. That's going to be where we go ahead and wrap up this very short video. But if you do have any questions, of course, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.